Hey everybody, welcome back to Chic on the Cheap. So this past week I finished up our matching Easter outfits. My mom always had the tradition of making all of us girls and sometimes the guys matching Easter outfits, so I decided to carry on the tradition this year in Cheap on the Chic form. I was at Goodwill a couple weeks ago and I found a scrap of material for $3 and it was big enough to make a blouse for me, a vest and a bow tie for Charlie, and a tie for Caleb. So I have the men's tie in another project, but in this one I want to show you how I made Charlie's vest and bow tie and how I put together my maternity blouse. Now I don't claim to be a very formal seamstress. Most of the way that I sew is kind of make it work, if you will. So I'm kind of learning as I go. So if you're a seamstress out there and you're watching this, I'm sorry if you see things that aren't really exactly the way they're supposed to be done, but this is an easy way for a novice seamstress to put together a cute outfit. So I hope you enjoy. So I started with Charlie's vest and cheated a little bit. I used a dress shirt that fit him really well and copied the bodice part of that shirt so that I could use that as a pattern for the vest. I cut that out of a folded over piece of black muslin. This would become the lining for my vest, and I was left with two pieces, a front and back, for this vest. So I took the piece that I wanted to be the front and I traced out on one half what I wanted the vest shape to look like in the front. I cut that out, then just folded it over in half on itself, copied my vest pattern, and then cut that out, and then all I had to do was cut this down the middle, and I was left with my two front pieces, kind of a pattern and also the lining for my vest. So next I sewed together the two front pieces and the back bodice piece at the shoulders at the top, and then I just slipped it on my reluctant and wiggly model to make sure it fit, and I'm glad I did because it was too short, so I shortened it the whole thing at this point. Next I used those lining pieces as a pattern to cut out my outer fabric. I did the front and then also the back. And when that was done, all I did was sew together the front pieces, the outer pieces, and the lining pieces together at the shoulders and the sides, and then I put right sides together and sewed the whole vest together except for the armholes. Leave the armholes open so you can flip it inside out. Then the last thing you'll have to do is just finish those armholes off. Now for my blouse, I kind of did the same thing. I used a blouse that fit me pretty well, copied the bodice on a folded over piece of fabric, and cut out two bodice pieces that would become the front and back of my blouse. From there, to make the collar piece for my blouse, I just laid out a bodice piece that it was the front, copied the shape of the neckline, and then I just drew out my collar the way that I wanted to look. I actually saw it on another dress and just copied the shape, and I cut those out so that I would have two collar pieces, and it looks kind of like this. Then I just sewed those together, right sides together, around the outer edges and the top sleeve edges, and ironed it in place so that it looks like this. And when I was done with that, this is what the final collar looked like for my blouse. Now to attach it to the bodice, I just pinned it to the inside of the bodice piece that I had sewn, and then sewed a seam so I could flip it over to the outside and have a nice finished seam when that was done. To finish the blouse, I sewed on the base part at the waist by trying it on, added a zipper in the back, and hemmed up the whole thing, and it was done. Okay, to make the bow tie, I started with two squares of fabric that were about 3 inches by 4 inches, and just sewed them together on three sides, leaving one side open. I flipped that inside out, made sure I ironed it really well, and then all you have to do is flip in that last side and just sew it shut with some matching fabric. Then to make the center part of the tie, the part that holds it together, you just take a little scrap of fabric and sew it again on three sides, flip it inside out, then just wrap it around your pinky finger to get about the right width for a baby bow tie, and then you're going to just sew as best you can, sew that circle shut so it's that size, and then cut off any excess and sew that in as well. Then all you have to do is take your square, iron it accordion style, and then slip it right into that little fabric circle that you've made. And then to make it a bow tie, all you have to do is just slip in a piece of elastic with two pieces of Velcro on the end. And when you're done, here's the finished product. A baby vest and bow tie, and a men's tie for daddy. And then here's my finished product for the blouse, some pleating in the back and front, and there's your maternity blouse. And then here's our happy family for Easter 2012. And I think just about everybody likes their outfit, except for Charlie. He could probably do without the bow tie. Thanks again for watching this week, everybody. I hope you have a great Easter weekend, and I will see you right back here next week.